Hi, okay, thank you everyone. I hope this morning to every one of you in Europe, and then also my colleagues, friends in Singapore time. Good evening. Right, so today I would like to talk about the high availability for the design for Microsoft Teams Direct Routing. My design is primarily based on pure cloud. So everything from SIP to SBC to Microsoft to like everything that touch and then end-to-end is in fact purely based on the cloud, right? So my fundamental of high ability design is like a cloud native. So I would start with like, in order to have the highly available Microsoft Teams Direct Routing, I would start with a SIP provider. Right, so I would need a SIP provider, and this SIP provider also depends on the package that you sign up. It could give you a higher the percentage of like availability in terms of like number of available the SBC that running, and then also SLA that they offer. It could be different from service provider to service provider in terms of the SIP provider. And at the same time, we also need SBC, which is in fact SBC as a VM, depends on the service provider or like vendor that offer the package or service. It is also should be available in like Azure public cloud. And then also, we also need a like a multi-domain SSL certificate. Okay, that would be deployed across SBC that I'm going to build up. And then also, we also need a DNS server to point to the right, and then the correct SBC to route the traffic to. And then, of course, we need Microsoft Office 365 tenant with a required license. Okay, this is a fundamental, the requirement and design of highly available Microsoft Teams Direct Routing. All right, so I will be making full use of this end-to-end cloud-based, and then also everything is in the cloud. The direction of like a highly available SBC design. Right, my design is based entirely on that. Okay, so in fact we can also even like scale it up by like expanding this to even like multi-regional redundancy level. All right, based on our desire and like our requirements. All right, so we can even expand it even further, like across region. Let's say, for example, like I'm having like 10 SBC running in Singapore, and then I will probably have another like 10 SBC running in APAC, like probably in like Australia, all right, or even in like Malaysia, like any other region that I find it like most suitable for my customers or like my user, right? I can even expand it. So how do we scale up? Okay, so I have like, for example, I have 10 unique Office 365 tenants, right, under my care, right? So I have to provide a very highly available multi-region, a very high SLA, the requirement for that. So what I would do is that I'm going to have a multi-region redundancy plan, which is like in the region 1, I'm going to set up like SBC 1, 2, and so on. And at the same time in region 2, I'm going to set up like SBC 1, 2, 3, and so on, right? And then my SBC are fronted by, and then like the traffic managed by like traffic manager is just from Azure. So we can make full use of like Azure traffic manager to route the traffic, the call based on that low latency network or based on like geographical location and like proximity. And then also we can also load balance the way we would like it. Let's say, for example, I would like to go all the call go to like region 1, like 60%, and the rest go to region 2. Or I can even like route the traffic based on the network latency, right? I would like to route the call to the faster like a network, right? And at the same time, I want to ensure that all my SBC are healthy. If there is a 7% or SBC are down or unhealthy or not reachable, I would like the call to route to another like the remaining healthy SBC region. Okay, and at the same time, I can also route the traffic based on priority. Let's say, for example, I would like to route the 90% of traffic to my primary region. only in case that primary region is down, I want the rest of the traffic started going to the secondary region. So by using and by making full use of Azure Traffic Manager, we can route the call based on the way we would like to, right? At the same time, since we are going to offer customers this kinds of like a highly available multi-region redundancy, we will also come with the agreed SLA level, right? So how much SLA that we are going to offer to our respective customer, respective user, and all that. Right, so this is the fundamental design of highly available multi-region, the Microsoft Teams direct routing, right? And then what are the requirements? I will start from the very basic. First of all, we will need Office 365 like a license, and then also rules, right? What rules that we require in order to do our job? Okay, I listed out here. Right, so we would need like a team communication admin, like team service admin, exchange admin, and all that, right? Who's the voice me for, right? So I will move on a little bit faster this one. So this pretty much like a self-descripted. So I will move on. So I also need DNS requirement. The DNS could be a public facing DNS like a GoDaddy, or even could be our like internally DNS internally hosted SBC server, right? In my case, right, I'm using GoDaddy as GoDaddy DNS server. Okay, let me have it. Here, I'm using GoDaddy DNS server. So first of all, I added DNS record pointing to my SBC, my SBC1, and then also my SBC2. If you may notice, right, this SBC1 IP and SBC2 IP are in fact from Azure. They are Microsoft IP, public IP, but I subscribe there, right? So I have this like the DNS error code to point to my SBC, so that when the user make a call, they will reference and they will resolve this like a name, for example, like sbc1.abc.com, right? Then it will route to a respective SBC. So I need a DNS server. For my case, I'm using GoDaddy DNS server and then pointing to my SBC1 and SBC2 respectively here, all right? So now, and also, I would also, one moment. Yeah. So I would also, then after that, I will set up like SBC in Office 365. It is pretty much straightforward. Let's say I will use like SBC1 like a domain name.com, right? That is, in fact, this SBC name is very important. You have to have a correct and then the right, the SBC FQDN, because this FQDN is tied and reflect on the certificate that you are going to deploy on your SBC, because between SBC and Microsoft, they talk through the SSL certificate using TLS, right? So we need to get this name correctly spelled, and then plus ensure that we determine like which name that you want this SBC to be reflected upon, right? So you have to have a correct SBC name, and then also you have to have the correct port, right? And the rest are pretty much standard. One thing I would like to highlight in the particular is this called preferred country or region for media traffic. This we have to pay a little bit more attention. Why? Because like default, Microsoft say it is like, if you set default setting, right? Because remember, this public IP that I am using right now are in fact the US IP, right? So if I set this preferred country setting to like a default, Microsoft is going to route my traffic, my media traffic, all the way to the US data center. In fact, I can make it like more optimized media traffic by explicitly like defining the preferred country that I would like to set for this SBC, so that Microsoft would not route my traffic, the media traffic, all the way to the US, because my even though my IP are from US, like randomly assigned from Microsoft, but the media traffic will go to Microsoft SBC data center in Singapore. Okay, this is one important point that I would like to highlight here. Okay, so this is a little bit more the extended version of what I want to say, right? So if you choose the default version, Microsoft is routing the media traffic all the way to US. They are like Team SBC data center, right? So instead, what we can do is we can choose like preferred country. So by doing that, the traffic is like, even though I'm using US traffic, but my media is routed to Microsoft SBC data center here. So this is how we can optimize media, Okay, this one important point here. And then I will also do the same in the for SBC2, right? Okay, so now once I have set it up, I would see the both SBC are inactive, right? So I will see my SBC1 and SBC2 are inactive, right? So one thing we have to take note is that is this active, right? If you see like inactive, it means that Microsoft is not able to resolve your DNS error call, or you haven't added the DNS error call yet. Okay, then the SIP option is like you could see the warning. If it is warning, basically means that it's pretty much related to firewall. The SBC that the SIP option that you haven't enabled yet on your SBC, or you have like a firewall in place between your SBC in Azure and Microsoft. All right. So at the same time, one thing I would like to highlight is that anything you changes in terms, let's say, for example, like you realize, oh, in fact, I disable a SIP option in my SBC, so I turn it on, I enable it, but it won't be reflected as immediately. It would take around like 10 to 15 minutes. Then you keep refreshing or you log and log out, right? After 15 minutes later, you will see the correct and then they will see active. You did the right job. Okay, so then after that, once we set up the SBC, the next step we have to do is that we have to do a voice route. Okay, so you just like configure a voice route to route to your SBC. Okay, so for now, what I did was that I just add this dot. It means that I will route everything to my SBC. I do not define any routing pattern yet, because I would like to do very granular and very specific routing at my SBC level, not at the Microsoft tenant level. But we have a choice, right? Sometimes we prefer that we would like to do it in like Azure tenant, like a Microsoft Office 365 tenant. Sometimes we prefer it to do it in SBC, right? Sometimes we want to ensure that we only do it at like one single place, right? In this case, it's up to us to define where you want to have a very granular routing pattern. Okay, but also you may also need to define dial plan. Depends on your requirement. Let's say, for example, I would like to do like very customized like dialing. Then I have to use like in our office we have like a 4-digit dialing plan. So you also need to define your dial plan if required, and it is in your like a workbook or action plan. And then after that, we associate this voice route with the SBC that we defined just now, SBC1 and SBC2. Okay, after we finish like setting up voice route, and then we are going to set up the BSDN usage. All right, then create the BSDN usage, and then we have to associate with SBC. Okay, and then also finally we have to define voice routing policy, and then voice routing policy we will be associating this voice routing policy with the BSDN usage. BSDN usage also has voice route that in fact has SBC in it. Right. So here, this is how we define like the step-by-step the setting up a highly available SBC in Microsoft Office 365 tenant. And then after we have set it up, we have to use the PowerShell. Currently, we cannot assign. I'm not sure in other regions. In Singapore, we do not have the ability yet in Team Admin Center to be able to assign the DDI number right through Team Admin Center. There's no feature such yet in Singapore region. So in order to assign a DDI number, we have to use Microsoft PowerShell. Previously, we have to also assign voice routing policy through PowerShell, but now we have a features like we can edit like a user's policy, and then we can also associate and apply the voice routing policy that we define and like apply on the user through the Microsoft Team Admin Portal. Okay, this is how I assign a number and also associate with and apply voice routing policy that is routing to SBC to this particular user. All right, this is how I do it. I did it. So certificate requirement. Certificate requirement, we have two options. Number one is we have like multi-domain SSL. Okay, multi-domain SSL is like you have to have a few domains, right? I have like, for example, my requirement is that I only have like a one SBC, or I only have like a two SBC, right? So I don't want to purchase like the wildcard certificate. So in this case, I will go with like a multi-domain, because what I need is like only 4 or like 3 SBC, right? So I can go with like a multi-domain SSL, Or another option is I can go with wildcard. So it means that everything under like Stardot, it already covers. So in my scenario, I am using the SSL certificate, which is already wildcard. So I'm using this certificate here. I bought a certificate and I'm using a wildcard, right? So when you define the certificate, right, when we generate CSR, we have to define which the subject name and like subject authority name that we want to have it, right? In subject name, you just type your domain name. It is good enough, all right? In also the subject alternative name, right? In the subject alternative name, you can also have like your your domain name, and then just the root domain is good enough. So it means that I can have like many SBC as I could, right? That certificate supports, and then I can use it already. So this Stardot, the wildcard cover all the SBC that I'm adding under the mydomain.com, right? So this is one of the certificate requirement. So I'm using the second option, which is wildcard, because I'm going to have like maybe like 20, 30 SBC in future. So I have a plan. So that is why I go with the wildcard at the very first place, right? Or we have an option to do the multi-domain SSL. It is also okay, all right? Depends on our requirement, our budget, and all that. And then now what we did so far was that we touched on GoDaddy. Then we went to Office 365 tenant and we defined SBC1, we configure SBC2, we created SBC2, voice route, and then voice routing policy, we assign DDI. So now we are shifting to Azure. So we already done our part at Microsoft Office 365 tenant. Now we are moved into Azure. So how I'm going to set up my SBC in Azure. Remember my proposal and then the setup is purely cloud native. So everything is in the cloud. There is no such on-prem footprint, right? Everything is in the cloud. So first of all, what we have to do is that we have to have like a static public IPs. The reason is that because this IP are used by our SIP provider to route the call to and flow, right? So we cannot keep changing the IP address, all right? Then your downtime will be like a days, if not hours, right? So we have to have a very permanent public IP that is going to be associated with my SBC. So I have SBC1, SBC2, so you can have like SBC and so on, all right? And then also once you have done that, the next step you have to do is that now I have two SBC, 181 and 229, right? I'm going to send this to IP to a service provider. Oh, okay, my service provider, please allow and whitelist this to IP, and I'm going to run my SBC in Azure using this IP and this port. So that I send out the email, and then my service provider receive an email, and they are going to whitelist the two SBCs IP that I have in Azure, all right? So all you have to do is go to create public IP and choose basic, right? Basic is slightly cheaper than standard, right? Because I think basic is good enough, okay? So we don't have to go to standard because we can save cost as well, right? Azure, every single second is like counting money, right? So we have to try to optimize the cost, right? So in this case, we use the basic is good enough. You can have like, if you have like a little bit like the high availability requirement, you can go with standard. But for based on my deployment, basic is more than good enough, all right? So, but the one thing you have to be careful is you have to choose static, right? So the IP I want is permanent. Okay, so the next step is to choose SBC. There are a few choices, right? You can have like pre-packaged SBC image, for example, like any node, for example, like a ribbon. It is depend on our choice, right? Or our budget, our vendor, and then our preference, right? So in my case, I'm going with the AnyNode SBC, and I did with the Ribbon SBC as well. Both are equally good, right? So we have a few choices. But one thing about the AnyNode compared to SBC Lite is that, let's say for example, I do okay. I already have Microsoft Windows Server running. Maybe like I have 2012, 2016, 19. etc, right? So what the fundamental difference between AnyNode and the Ribbon is that Ribbon is already prepackaged. I cannot have a chance to install by myself, All right, it already prepackaged. But at the same time, any node seems to have a bit more flexibility. Why? Because I can just install any Windows server, and then I can download any node installer .msi.exe, and then I run on top of the Windows server that I already have. Right. So any node seems to have advantage over the SWE Lite in this particular situation. All right. So, but in terms of performance, I think equally good. All right, so we have a few choices. So like provisioning like SBC. So I'm going to create a virtual VM, right? I can have like prepackaged like any node in Azure, or I can just make use of like existing Windows VM running in Azure, anything, right? So one important point here I would like to highlight is that when you create or use the prepackaged SBC, be it any node or be it software light or be it audio code, anything, right? So the point is that you are going to use this SBC to be associated with the public IP that you created. So this is the most important point here, right? You cannot use the Microsoft dynamically assigned public IP. You can't do that. Right, you can, but just that you are going to change it. Like you have to change it later, right? So we have to be ensure that this SBC is associated with the predefined permanent IP that I selected, right? So this important point. And then firewall. Firewall is like since I trust that like Microsoft, like the IP range from Office 365 and the IP range from the Microsoft Team Direct Routing. So I use a little bit bigger the range because I sum up in an even bigger range, right? So because I don't want to worry about like Microsoft change the public IP or they edit in all that, right? Since it's from Microsoft and it is like meant for Team Direct Routing, I make it like the lump sum, the IP range here. Okay, so then you repeat the step that I defined in SBC2. So now we are like configuring our highly available SBC in Azure. So now I am using like one of the SBC, right? So the one of the SBC vendor. So I configure I'm trying to configure the Microsoft Team Direct Routing here using any node, right? So I configure it, then I want to use like Microsoft Team Direct Routing. Okay, so now if you are using like any node or if you are using SWE Lite or like audio code, be any vendor neutral here, right? So we can use, the point is that you are going to use a load balancing, right? So I'm going to use load balancing because I'm going to add on like multiple SBC. So here, I'm using one of the SIP provider, which is Pure IMP. Okay, so Pure IMP by default, they provide round robin call routing, right? Incoming call, they route like SBC1, another call, they route SBC2. They provided by default. And at the same time, Pure IMP also has like a multi-region redundancy failover load balancing, right? Here, I am using the Pure IMP from like Sydney SBC, that they are Sydney Gateway, they are like Singapore 1, Singapore 2 Gateway, and the Melbourne, right? So this is like pretty much like Asia Pac region that I'm using. The one that I'm now talking about, the multi-region redundancy, because I want to ensure that like from like end to end, everything must be highly available, highly redundant. This is my design. This is what I want to achieve. In order to do that, I also have to pick up one SIP provider to enable me to do that, right? So in this case, I pick up this the IMP SIP provider to do my job, right? So I am associate my SBC SIP provider. I'm using like for the SBC here, right? And then so I'm wrapping things up. So now after I configure in Microsoft Office 365 tenant, I configure in like SBC, right? Be any SBC, right? So now everything is good to go. I have like FTTL is running fine. SIP option is like they are able to ping each other. And then on the other hand, like the SBC also like telling me that it's good to go, right? So I think I'm good to go. So Office 365 tenant is up. SBC in Azure is also up. All right, so now I'm trying to test a few test calls, right? When I incoming call, my SIP provider is routing me like a round robin manner. Okay, so why not we trying to have a look? So let me go to one of my call here, fresh. Okay, I will use the sig log. Okay. Okay, so let me have monitor the call, how the call are routing, right? So I'm going to make an outgoing call to Australia. See how it is routed. Okay, one moment, right here. Okay, so I'm going to call, this one is like, and then go to the Australia support number. So I'm going to make a call. Okay, one moment. This might be a bit slow, one moment. Okay. Okay, so now the call is coming through SBC.
Thank you for calling GoDaddy. Your call may be monitored and recorded to ensure quality.
So I'm already engaged with like GoDaddy, right? So now the first call is coming through SBC2 randomly. This is I'm making outgoing call from Microsoft team, right? Okay, I will make another call. See how Microsoft route the call to. Okay, you see?
Thank you for calling GoDaddy. Your call may be monitored and recorded to ensure quality.
This is the point that I want to make. You see, my first call come through SBC2. I'm making an outgoing call, right? My first call come to SBC2 first, and then followed by my second call is going to SBC1. This is exactly how I want it to be done, right? So it means that, so the both SBC1 and SBC2 running in Azure are running up and running and then doing their job. And not only that, the important point is that the call Microsoft is routing the call to SBC1 and SBC2 in round robin manner. Okay, this is an outgoing call. So I will go back to the first slide that I show you, right? So this is what I'm trying to achieve here. So this means I'm making outgoing call from Microsoft team and then go to SBC1 in round robin manner. This is exactly this way. All right. Okay, so now I want to make incoming, I want to I'm going to make an incoming call to the number, right? So I want to see how the number is routing. So I'm going to make an incoming call here. Okay, so the service provider that I'm using is routing the incoming call from, first of all, from SBC1. Okay, I will make a second incoming call. You see, this is exactly how I want it. The first call, the SIP provider that I'm using, right, in this case, PureIMB, right? So they are routing the call to SBC1 first, my first call. And then the follow-up call, second call, they are routing to SBC2. So now I have achieved the way that I wanted to, the way I wanted the setup to be done. This is this one. This is my high availability plan. So it means that I can get this SBC1 down any point in time, right? And then plus, not only that, I can also let SIP provider, it has like a multiple SBC. They can get like their SBC1 down in one region, their SBC2 down in another region. I'm okay, right? It wouldn't disrupt my sleep because like my design and then the SBC that I'm running in the cloud is highly available. So it means that I can let SBC down, fine. One SBC down from the service provider side is fine, right? I can also let one of my SBC down in the Azure is also fine. Probably I will fix it tomorrow. Today down is not a problem because I will fix tomorrow. So it means that this is like achieving the highly available, the team direct routing. So this means that I'm also enhancing and then like providing a highly available and redundancy to our customer, to our users, right? So it means that I am upping the SLA and then plus like user requirement so that user have a very very less, if not no disruption in their call using this highly available design. So imagine if we could even scale up to this level, right? So that we can have a traffic manager. I have like 10 SBC. I have another set of 10 SBC in another region. So it is like a highly scalable. Assume that I'm a service provider. Let's say, for example, I'm a service provider using Microsoft Team Direct Routing as a service, right? Remember, Microsoft Team Direct Routing has like two flavors. One is for Team Direct Routing. Another is for a multi-tenant. Okay, this multi-tenant scenario is perfectly what we are looking for here right now, right? So it means that I have 100 tenants under my care, right? So I can have a 10 SBC in one region, else with its region. So I'm using end-to-end is only cloud native. So basically, I mean there is no hardware, software on-prime, and then all are in the cloud, and then everything is highly scalable. Why? What do you mean by highly scalable? It means that I can add on my SBC anytime. Let's say, for example, today I find that, the call are maxed out, right? Tomorrow I know that it is because of my SBC is having a very high load, right? So I'm going to add another SBC without having to bring down entire the members, right? So I can add on, I can remove to the customer. They don't even know what I did in the backend, right? This is how we provide a highly available, highly redundant SBC in Azure, all right? So this pretty much a failover behavior. Microsoft will keep probing our SBC that associated in Microsoft Office tenant every 1 minute regular interval. Microsoft trying to probe our SBC in 3 minutes, 3 consecutive. And then if our SBC able to return, Microsoft think that is healthy. If not, Microsoft demote that SBC and then will not route, and then it will route to the remaining healthy SBC instead. Right. This is how the routing behavior. What happened if one of SBC down? Assume that I only have 2 SBC, right? And then I would like to bring down one SBC because I'm doing the maintenance, right? So why not we simulate this? Okay, so I'm going to go to my Azure portal. I'm going to bring down one of my SBC. Let's do it. Okay, where is this? Oh, okay. All right, so I have to log in again. Okay. In fact, we can bring down SBC in 2 places. One is you can bring down in Microsoft Team Admin Center, or you can even go to your Azure and bring down your SBC. Depends, right? Or we can do either way. So let us see what happens when we do just that. Okay, go to Team Direct Routing. Okay. All right, so I'm going to bring down one of the SBC, see how Microsoft react and how the SIP provider react, right? Okay, I'm going to bring this down. Okay, done, right? Then I'm going to make another call. Okay, then before that, I want to check the log file. Okay, this is my irons. So see what happened. Okay, so I'm going to make another call. You see?
Thank you for calling GoDaddy. Your call may be monitored and recorded to ensure.
Remember, the guy that I get it down is here, SBC1. All right, so here is calling to here. Okay, I will make another call.
Thank you for calling GoDaddy. Okay. Your call may be monitored and recorded to ensure quality customer service.
The call is coming to SBC1, right? What we can do is we can, okay, one moment. Okay, let me see. I wanted SBC1 down. Okay, what I want is I will down it from here. It takes a while Microsoft to recognize that one SBC is down, but I want to force this, right? Okay, so I will force it. Okay, so how do I'm going to force it? This is my SBC though. Okay, so I go to team dry routing. Okay, so I'm going to get this one down. Okay, so I'm going to monitor again, right? So I make a call again. Okay, now.
Thank you for calling GoDaddy. Your call may be monitored and recorded to ensure quality customer service.
So
If you are in any node,
so now Microsoft and like any node realized that so one of my SBC realized that one of the SBC is down. So the call kept coming to SBC2 only. All right, so there is no SBC1 available, but at the same time, it doesn't disrupt our services because like users are able to make outgoing call, they are able to receive incoming call. So it means is how we maintain and improve the availability, service availability for like our user and our customer alike, right? This is the Microsoft team direct routing high availability, all right? Okay, so Atibudan. So that is all for my presentation. Thank you everyone for attending. Your feedback is really appreciated. And then also please feel free to ask us any questions or like comment below. Thank you everyone.
So thank you for that presentation. We have a question in the meeting chat.
Oh, okay, right.
Thorsten is asking if this really is high availability or more of a disaster recovery scenario, and if the active call will be lost if the SBC becomes unavailable.
Okay, yes. Active call will be lost. Yes, active call will be lost because like it is going to the SBC1. It is going to be lost, number one. And number two, it is like a highly availability because our objective is more to like a service, like continuity. Let's say, for example, like let's say if I have like a multiple the SBCs plus also the service that I want to ensure that they are keep and run and up and running, like without any downtime and all that, right? So this is more to like a highly available SBC in design. Yeah. Any more questions?
Feel free to add any questions to the chat, or you can, raise your hand to come off mute. Okay, so Thorsten is asking again, where is the advantage to round robin DNS?
Okay. Advantage. Okay, advantage is basically mean like, for example, like we want to ensure that both are like fully utilized, right? A call are balanced because if we keep going to one SBC, maybe the SBC will have like a more load in terms of CPU usage, in terms of like voice quality. At the same time, I am already running two SBC. For example, in our example, we already have two SBC running. So I want to make full use of them all the time. Because like in Azure, if I keep running everything, then I'm paying for it, right? So basically means that I want to make full use of it. At the same time, by having like this kind of like round robin routing, it helps to reduce like load from one SBC. So like one SBC is like a load balance, so they can have like a better performance, right? Like instead of like going to one SBC, all the call, routing all the call to one SBC completely. Yeah. Any more questions? So start off, do you have any question and comments? Please let me know. Okay, that's all I have for this session. Please let me know if you need anything or question are welcome. Thank you, everyone.
Yeah, there is another question. If there's any experience with a huge volume on calls and the Azure Network Load Balancer, if it's stable or any issues to expect with regards to call quality.
Okay, so as you are, okay, you're talking about with high volume on calls with Azure Network load balancing. Are there any issue you expect regarding call quality? Okay, so like based on my testing, right, I simulated 20 calls, right? I use a third-party tool to simulate 20 calls at one shot, right? So like the call went to like almost equally like both SBC, right? So 10 call here, 10 call here, because the one that I tested is like maybe like quite less because I only tested like 20 calls at one go, right? So in terms of call, I don't have any quality issues so far. Yeah, I don't have call quality issues so far. Yeah, even like I even tested using like the very low, very high latency network. I went to like a 3G mode, or like I even used the like a landline and all that, right? And tested in fact it's like I wouldn't say like a best quality. I would say like a very like acceptable and then good quality, right? It is not the best, but good quality. Everyone can hear each other, and then the important is that there is no echo or like a very delay or like a very like call drop-in. No, so far I don't have any customer complain about call drop-in so far. All right. So maybe also the fact that the customer, I mean like the user I have doesn't have that call high volume yet. Yeah. For me, no. So long as we have like a load balancing app, it should have. Also, Microsoft, if using, oh, okay, one thing I would like to highlight here, right? Okay, let me see. Okay, so you see this incoming call, right? You please notice, right? I'm making incoming call, right? Okay, so from this incoming call coming from here, right? Okay. Okay, this is the call, this number that I call, right? Okay, so you see, when the media setup, right, it is using also Silk. All right, it also helps improve the network because like I'm not very like knowledgeable about Silk, but based on my basic understanding is that if it is the Silk, right, it is the so-called the quality is like much more efficient, and plus also very internet friendly, like compared to like G711, right? So it is also help improve call quality as well in a way. All right, so this is a good thing also. Yeah. And then also the call quality, I use Microsoft, the CDM or call quality security, call quality dashboard like security, right? And then I also compare with CQD. I use CQD, and also I compare with Microsoft the core user report in direct routing, right? And also pretty much nowadays I don't have any like the core drop problem, right? In terms of this very specific to team direct routing, no, I don't have. I mean, yeah, so far no. But I will tell you also one point is that it is because maybe the point that I do not have like 200 core at one go, or maybe like 100 core at one go. Yeah, so it may be also the case. Maybe it could be that like if I'm facing like 100 core at any given time, right? So it might be the case that my SBC have to optimize, or I have to even like make like upside my SBC, because the SBC VM that I'm using is like DS2. DS2 is like 8 GB with 2 CPU, right? So maybe probably I have to upside it, right, to have like a better CPU plus like higher memory, right? So this is also the point I need to optimize if there is a core quality. So at the same time, I ensure that there is no antivirus running, right, on my SBC VM, and also only just pure SBC service. And then, but I lock down all other unnecessary services running, right? And plus, like I'm trying to tie on the firewall route as well at the Azure level, so that no unintended traffic are coming in and out to my VM. So this is how I also optimize. Okay, that's all.
Okay, so thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, everyone.
Ted. And if there's no more questions, I'll go ahead and prepare for the next speaker now.
Okay.
If you'd like to discuss more, please join Ted in the Teams Fest Lounge. I will share the URL once more in the chat, okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you for attending. Appreciate your time. Thank you.